All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans and pets, welcome back once again to the 2021 Wild Rift Asia Brawl, brought to you by Trovo.live. If you're watching this, make sure to like, subscribe, turn the bell on, and share the stream with your friends, family, and fans of the two teams. We're stepping to the second match of the day. Soul of Soy is taking on their opponent, OneSnap Esports. It's going to be a very, very exciting match. Again, this is Group 1. We're doing a single round-robin format, and they're going to play each other. All the teams in Group 1 is going to play each other one time, and one time only. You can see the current standing of the bracket. Bigatron did take 1 point away from Omega, so they're already ahead in the group. Obviously, it being the first match being played. Now, we're stepping to the second match. First game, Ben Pick. Before we get that started, I want to do a big shout-out to the sponsors. Trovo.live is the organization, is the streaming platform that's making all this tournament possible. If you're watching the stream, guys, Trovo.live, it's going to be the place you want to be. Trovo is hosting a variety of tournaments, events for League of Legends Wild Rift, with a bunch of prizes for you to claim, including 30,000 Wild Core giveaway throughout this tournament. So make sure to head to Trovo, because a lot of the weekly streams will be done on Trovo exclusively. Also, want to do a shout out to WRC. If you want to know anything competitive about Wild Rift, use a link in the social media links down below. So with that, I'm going to introduce our two beautiful casters, TJ as well as Xcondrel. Take it away, guys.
We gotta go fast, because these two teams have come out of the draft phase real quick. You can see both rosters. I can tell you what the bans are, Xcondrel. I can't tell you who banned them. Kennen, Lee Sin, Gragas, and Akali were all banned. Now tell me about the picks.
Okay, so we have on this side we've got the Soy side. So yeah, we got Soy, and we got the Fiora in the top lane, something that we see a little bit more of. She's a very, very big lane bully. Her lunge range is much higher than the PC version, so when she uses her first ability, she can proc her vitals for relatively free. We've got a Lulu pickup with the Misfortune, a very oppressive lane. Shyvana in the jungle shouldn't get challenged as easily by a Evelynn, and specifically talking about the Evelynn, I love this adaptation. You can see the Lulu came into lane. I'm pretty sure she must have just thrown a Glitter Lance out here, because Evelynn is got an absolutely obnoxious level 1 lane clear. Look at what she's done. She's pushed that lane in. She's now walking into the jungle to try and challenge Shyvana. She's going to be a nuisance while Orianna is stuck under her wave. She's level 2 already onto the Shyvana here, and this is the disgusting mid lane Evelynn. Now Shyvana's out of the jungle, and it's going to be very difficult for her to get back in.
The early Raptor steal, essentially, from the PC version of League of Legends. It is time, as always, to have a slight disclaimer. We are watching from the perspective of F2Y. They are the only player who is streaming this game. We can't do anything about that because we don't have a spectator mode, so we're just going to be along for the ride. This is Soul of Soy's perspective. They are playing, of course, versus OneSnap.
Yeah, we'll have to give. We have got another perspective, but it's much further behind, as you can see. So yeah, the other perspective is still in Champion Select. So we're gonna stick to F2Y's perspective here, and we're gonna just try and keep up with the game based on what we can see on the map. So sometimes we'll be talking about things. I would direct our viewers to make sure they're looking at the mini map. Not only will it help you for your viewing experience, but it may even help you for your solo queue experience.
Yeah,
exactly. Just keeping your eye on that mini map. Again, we are looking to keep primarily tabs on where Evelynn is roaming. Her early game roams super impactful. She didn't quite get the kill onto Shyvana, so Shyvana was able to get into her blue side jungle, but I do think that the Wukong was able to push into the red side jungle and steal the red buff. So Shyvana losing out a little bit on her early jungle clear, all in part due to the fact that Evelynn is absolutely obnoxious in that mid lane at this point in time. F2Y taking a bit of a beating from this Camille right now.
I loaded into casting this tournament earlier today, and I think the first words you said on broadcast were, "Thank God they banned Evelynn." So we are now seeing what happens when the Evelynn isn't banned. A ton of pressure in that mid lane, and it's spiraling out of control as OneSnap are able to control the entire side of the jungle near that Evelynn as well. And though it's not yet affected our bot lane for F2Y, it is going to begin to, as the rest of the map kind of collapses around them.
I mean, F2Y is just kind of getting poked out by this Camille regardless. So, I mean, the Evelynn likely is going to roam towards, especially with a Shyvana, the Evelyn's going to want to make sure she's controlling the dragon area. Oh, we've got a little bit of an engage here. There was a back that came out from F2Y, and we have not yet seen Camille go for a back at this point in time, so she looks like she will do now. Go and stock up on her own items, maybe work towards that Triforce, which is the item that both Fiora and Camille like to go for first. It is the biggest item spike that you can get for either of those two champions.
Speaking of exciting things happening at lanes, I don't know, that wasn't a great segue. I just wanted to point out that there was another back forced in the mid lane, as the Evelyn, yet again, was able to force that Orianna to back, stayed in lane during that time, picked up yet more minion advantage. That is disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have an Orianna who is traditionally, once you've got Lost Chapter, has pretty good lane shove and wave clear, it is nothing compared to how obnoxious hate spikes are, which is Evelyn's first ability, at just pushing waves for 0 mana cost. I'm actually really interested to see how they're going to end up nerfing lane Evelyn, but not absolutely nerfing jungle Evelyn. And I'm imagining it's that they're going to increase the mana cost of hate spikes, or they're going to reduce its damage to minions specifically. That's my thought process for how you deal with that being Evelyn being so obnoxious.
We may have a fight breaking out here towards the top side. This is the first Drake of the game, and F2Y has roamed all the way across the map as the bullet time rips through OneSnap. Soul of Snoy would like to get into this fight, but they'll be doing so with the Drake already picked up against them. Now Curtain Call comes through, and F2Y and the remaining players are just running for their life. This does not look good for Soul of Soy at all, as OneSnap have poked through, cleaned up the fight again, and F2Y just need to back away.
There's nothing they can do here. The Evelyn at this point in the game is just super strong. You have got a Jhin versus Misfortune matchup. So Misfortune is traditionally a lane bully, but Jhin is someone who can respond to her relatively easily in that laning phase. Plus, in these team fights, when Misfortune opens up bullet time, Jhin can just be way, way further away using his own ultimate Curtain Call to ensure that he's having a similar impact in the team fights that Misfortune is. And you saw it in that team fight right there. Again, really, really hard stuff to play against Evelyn mid. I feel like it's an auto ban every game. And if you don't ban it, you're asking for something like this to happen, which is a little bit rough.
Yeah. So to reiterate, because I did mix them up just now, Soul of Soy are the players whose perspective we are watching. OneSnap are on the opposite side. F2Y for Soul of Soy. Well, flash behind the turret. This pressure does come through. I have to say, you know, if we could watch one perspective from this team, I think F2Y is relatively happy. We're on theirs. They're doing a decent job of holding against this pressure on their island of the top lane.
Yeah, the Baron lane, traditionally a very, I would say, low energy. No, not low. No, I'm trying to think of the word here, TJ. It's too early in the morning for me. I did not sleep the best. But it's generally a low kind of traffic lane. You don't generally tend to see much traffic through the Baron lane. It's either a 1v1, a bit of an island. The only time you might see much traffic is when this Rift Herald is sort of kind of like being thought of. We have a potential engage happening here, though. I think
this will be a very big win for Soul of Soy if they can get it. Kind of brings them back into this.
I don't know. They lost the Misfortune in the top. They lost the Misfortune in their Baron lane, and they lost the first turret of the game. So even though that felt like a win, all Rift Herald is going to get you is a turret, right? And often you want it to break open the first turret of the game. But if you've already lost the first turret of the game, then Rift Herald becomes a little bit of a mute objective. Like it doesn't offer you anything more than you would have already got by just pushing a tower in your own right. So yeah.
We do have OneSnap's POV now. You are watching it. Oh my lord! What were we typing? Lulu Ignite or Flash was burned. We got comms here, ladies and gentlemen.
He is tracking summoner spells. What an absolute lad! This is the MVP. The MVP. Oh, my dogs have just. The postman has just come.
They're excited because we're tracking summoner spells.
Exactly, and also the postman has come, and they really love barking at the postman.
Maybe that as well. So OneSnap Esports with a dominant lead in this early game. There is still that Rift Herald unaccounted for. So we could see good old Sheldon taking down a turret or two, but failing a pretty spectacular play through it, I think this is going to be a firm early game lead for OneSnap.
Yeah, OneSnap looking very good so far. Again, with the take of the dragon. Dragon being set up now as well for the second round. Again, you deny dragons from Shyvana. That is absolutely imperative. She gets too many good bonuses, especially the Infernal, as Dave talked about, being one of the most impactful dragons that you can take for Shyvana, giving her that true damage in her dragon form. But I actually think that right now, OneSnap are just in a really strong perspective. We're going back over to Soy here. F2Y, I think it's just dead.
Did get the wild growth to try and, survive the Fiora through it, but you don't really outrun a Camille, and Chami will pick up the kill eventually. As we swip back over to Soul of Soy's POV, and they are able to get a little bit back on that top side. They're also attempting for this Drake in the meantime. You can see Bonafortuna pushing around the side, while the rest of the team focuses in on the Drake and the split lane simultaneously. A deep dive in. That's actually disastrous. Salik goes too far forward, knocked into GA, and the jungler is going to be in perilous position as the GA wears off. They'll go into stasis from stopwatch instantly, but be picked up around the side. It's a massive teamfight win here, and F2Y for Soul of Soy can't do anything to prevent it.
Oh my god, they couldn't even get the Evelyn. That is absolutely heartbreaking for Soy, and it is going to be OneSnap that just continues to pressure out here. That was yeah, I didn't really see that fight going any other way, to be honest with you, TJ. There was too many advantages built up by the Evelyn. They'd lost too many objectives on the map right now. None of the lanes were doing particularly well for Soy, and yeah, I feel like this was just the inevitable outcome, just based on how this early game has gone.
OneSnap, we're back watching. Did you ever play Terraria? I feel like you're old enough. It should have been in your
Terraria. Yeah.
Yeah.
I played a good amount of it.
Well, there's definitely, like, the Zoomers don't know what Terraria is, so maybe this is bad audience to make this joke. But anyway, we're back watching some Terraria gameplay as we pick up the OneSnap POV. The Cubs! Oh, I don't actually know what this is.
Powered by
he's
smart
complaining
data,
about his internet.
He's complaining about his ping in the middle of the
game. Great Cubs.
Oh, what a lad. This is the gameplay that I like to see. But it doesn't matter. He's still 205 on 100. Yeah. Exactly, 205 on 130 MS. We can't complain about that.
You're not going to get a sponsorship if you flame your internet company like this.
They're going for Baron. They're literally just two-manning Baron right now. I mean, the Wukong is that far ahead that he's able to do so. The rest of the team just zoning out the Shyvana. They two-man Baron. Honestly, this Wukong popping off right now for OneSnap.
Yeah, really, really scary. Renji has as many damage as there are pixels on his screen. In the meantime, Rift Herald did get summoned for Soul of Soy. I hyped that up. I said maybe Sheldon could turn around the game, get them something back on the board, and I dare say at this point, there's no way it's enough.
I mean, I think, like I said about Rift Herald, it's more, in my opinion, it's either a way to crack open the game, or it's a bit more of a win more objective. Like, you take it and you can just win harder than you're already winning. Very rarely have I ever seen Rift Herald bring a team back from a losing position, unless they get a big team fight and use it immediately to crack open, turrets in the mid lane or an inhibitor turret or something like that. It's an objective that it's good to deny it from a winning team because they can't win more, but that's probably all you were going to get if you were Soy in this particular instance.
We do have a curtain call again up there in the top lane as things are going very bad for Soul of Soy. And down bottom, it's not much better. F2Y trying to keep feeling good man underneath the turret alive, and it will not work. Wild Growth will turn that, and actually, we may have seen OneSnap overstep a little bit as they will lose their Evelyn in a deep dive. But I think that'll be
yeah, they're gonna get the inhibitor turret in the top lane as a result because of the distraction that the Evelyn caused. You will take that every day of the week. We've got another dragon spawning in relatively quickly. Honestly, this feels like very much a GG go next right now for Soy. They need to rethink how they approach the draft. Please ban Evelyn, and then maybe can sort of come back stronger in the next game. Because the thing about Wild Rift, and I think a lot of you that have played may have felt this, it is nigh on impossible to come back once you lose inhibitor turrets, and especially in this situation, once you've lost all three, it feels oppressive because I would love for you to have strong comeback mechanics. I would love for a potential inhibitor respawn. Obviously, that may delay games. That's probably not where Riot wants to go with the mobile title. But when you lose inhibitor turrets, you're stuck in your base forever. Like absolutely just stuck in your base forever.
They're white knighting 1v5ing to see if they can make it happen. The limit test will continue here. And finally, a little bit more of a concerted effort comes through for OneSnap as they begin to clean up Soul of Soy for one final time. Game number 1 of this best of 3 series will be picked up in very, very clean fashion for OneSnap. And Excoundrel's tips, his number 1 guide to all aspiring players, ban Evelyn.
I mean, if you could ban it in solo queue, absolutely. But competitive, ban Evelyn. She's just too broken. She's not allowed to be played.
Do you agree with that, Dave? I need a second hot take. I'm hoping you're going to be like, no, I love playing into Evelyn.
Well, Evelyn's definitely one of the strongest mid laner right now, but Evelyn's receiving a nerf very shortly, so we'll see like how that's gonna play out, right?
I'll take it. That's like half credit on the hot take machine. Excoundrel, we harped a lot on the draft because it was kind of a very quick game. Was there anything that you saw from Soul of Soy that like made you believe there could be a turnaround here in game 2?
It's really difficult to say, to be honest, Tej, because when an Evelyn is that far ahead and she disrupts your jungle pathing so much and she influences these side lanes so much, they were too far behind before it started. What I would say is I felt like there was a potential glimmer of hope in the way they executed the fight around the first dragon. But other than that, it's too difficult to kind of pry what Soul of Soy are capable of because Evelyn just shut that game down. Is too hard.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you have Evelyn, you saw what happened. Evelyn just walked into Shyvana's jungle. There's nothing Shyvana can do. And that's exactly why, I mean, in rank right now, this mage, I mean, this assassin is first pick. There's no ban. This is first pick every game. Lee Sin is not even first pick. It's just Evelyn every game.
Evelyn, yeah. And the problem that you have for Orianna in that situation, I kind of like the idea of the Lulu coming in and helping push the first wave against the Evelyn, but she didn't stay for long enough. I feel like she could have stayed and pushed that wave a little bit harder. But the problem with Orianna is because Evelyn shoves you into turret, she gets level 2 immediately. Orianna then has to make the decision between roaming and not getting level 2, so trying to roam as a level 1 Orianna to help your jungler, and then she gets behind in lane, and then Evelyn just continues to be oppressive. It's a lose-lose situation for the Orianna at the mid lane turret there every single time. And
there was also, I think, a lack of preparation from Soul of Soy, because if you, even in C server, in Korea server, both server I played on, I think in competitive rank, what happened is when enemy picked Evelyn, what you would do is to have your support to go mid, help mid, clear, shove mid wave. So even though, yes, your mid lane will be behind because your support is helping on level 2, but this way you prevents the early game from Evelyn from happening. You know, you basically stop that from happening. Yeah. So even though, Evelyn's going to get level 2, but it's going to get level 2 late. Right, and then as long as you control the vision ward, if you vision plant, if you control the river vision, I think it's gonna be really good for your team. And that's not what Soul of Soy did. It just got invaded.
And Excoundrel called it out as it was happening. He was just calling every single step of what was going to happen on the minimap. This Evelyn's going to clear the first wave super quick, steal several camps away, ruin the jungle, win the game. And if Excoundrel knows that, who is... I know you are a very practiced and high-level player. You've been grinding that ELO. It is a little tragic that a pro team competing in a tournament wasn't prepared for that.
Well, they had the right idea because Lulu came to the mid lane for the first wave. I think she just threw one Glitterland. Yeah,
you don't get participation trophies, Excoundrel.
No, I know, but I think she assumed this. I think she assumed the single Glitter Lance would be enough to potentially push the wave in, but it wasn't enough. So maybe it's a learning point against the Evelyn. And I agree with Dave. Like, your support maybe gives up a bit of experience. You maybe lose a bit of pressure bot, but you need to do it versus an Evelyn because the Evelyn isn't as useful if she can't snowball and shut down the jungle. She's not a teamfight champion. If she's even, she doesn't do particularly well in teamfights because she's supposed to be picking people off and killing them before they can do anything about it. Yeah. And Shyvana would have been able to clear the Raptors, and then she would have been able to go to red buff, and Evelyn wouldn't have been able to do the same thing.
Exactly, because especially Evelyn get behind early game, then it's really bad because that hero just become kind of useless. It's really hard for Evelyn to pick up farm when there's no farm. Now, before we get into the next game though, I do want to do a big shout out to our sponsor Trovo. Trovo is hosting a variety of tournaments, events for League of Legends Wild Rift with a bunch of prizes for you to claim, including 30,000 Wall Core giveaway throughout this entire tournament on Trovo exclusively. So without Trovo's generous support, this tournament would not be possible. If you're watching the stream right now, weekly Sunday matches and grand final for Wild Rift Asia Brawl will be streamed on Trovo exclusively. So make sure to head to Trovo right now with the link in the chat. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a short 2 to 3 minute break before we continue to game 2 of today's second match. Now, with that, we'll see you guys in a little bit.